Adam, all right. So the blame game, might as well just get a t-shirt. We're all
Yeah.
wearing. So I'm gonna say one, why do you think it's getting more prevalent? And two, why do you think people actually think blaming people is the right thing to do?
Oh, this is interesting. I'm seeing so just so you know, in all the places I'm going, I'm seeing the blame game going on as well. So I think there's a hierarchy here, right? So the increase in blame game, I think is one of the consequences of skill shortages. But let's just talk about blame. So blame is normally caused by incompetence,
That's a big word.
right? So, blame normally means something's gone wrong, someone hasn't done what they should do. I've just found this huge cock up, right? So it's normally hiding incompetence, in my opinion, right? And then that incompetence is normally hiding bad leadership, bad management decisions, bad pricing, misunderstanding. Either way, competence, which is a big word, right? Where you have highly competent people who know what they're doing and doing their job well, there's very little blame game. There's very little shouting. Again, the emptiest vessels make the loudest noise, right? So blame, whenever you see blame, know that is an outcome of stress caused by incompetence. And then
What breeds this though? There's some projects that shouldn't be as successful as they
yeah.
should, they are, and other ones that should be aren't. Where does this?
So
So this
there's levels to incompetence, right? So it could be incompetence in leadership. So you could have highly competent people below, but the leader's like not comfortable, wants to make it all about them, and they start screaming and shouting at everyone, right? They create drama, they create things, and then everyone's screaming and shouting at each other. That's
okay.
bad
Well,
leadership.
is it equal? So okay, for instance, like there's some owners that basically say, hey, I have this amount of money and I want this, and then 2 months later they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I want this and this, and so it's like, is it caused by? It's not just one group. I mean, is
Well,
it sort of is the
the owners
system
that keep changing your
systemic?
mind, they're incompetent, right? That's an incompetence in terms of procurement and getting out what they want. So there's incompetence from leaders, there's incompetence from owners, which is unclear requirements, changing their mind every 5 minutes when contractually they can't, and then they don't want to pay for it, right? And then there's also incompetence at the skill level, the delivery level, right? So that's really a function, in my experience, of a skill shortage. There's only so many good people to go around, right? So when you wind up in a construction boom, you wind up with a lot more blame games, a lot more bad jobs, because there's only so many good skilled people to go around. And then the rest are like the also rans, or the ones that are sort of like faking it till they make it. And faking it till you make it sounds great and sounds like aspirational. You go, girl, fake it till you make it. However, when you're dealing with like 6-inch pipelines, 1-foot pipelines, and crossovers, and installing, massive chillers the size of a bus, competence actually, you go, girl doesn't work there. So competence, it turns out, is the issue. Like if you're pre-qualifying for a job or hiring a position, what you should be testing for, should be in the key word that's useless, you should be testing for competence. Just because someone's got a degree from, I don't know, Stanford, doesn't mean they're competent. Just means they got through the struggle session of a 4-year degree. What matters competence? You test competence by evidence and by references and by asking them very pertinent, direct questions. So, that's how you how do you build a team? If you're building a company, you're building a team. If you're building a project team, you look for competence, you test for competence. And that's
Okay, so let's turn this part positive. So
yeah.
if you were the competence czar and you were basically just appointed, tomorrow, world competence czar, what would be the top 3 things that you would do in this industry to try to make this better?
Right. I would make leadership training and management training part of an engineering degree, thing 1. Thing 2, I would make engineering degrees more applied engineering, particularly for the built environment. So if your degree is leading you to the built environment, that needs to be a heavily skewed towards applied engineering.
But you keep on mentioning engineering. I mean, there's architecture here, there's construction management, there's sustainability. So so try to be more broad with that.
So applied engineer, if you're an architect, that's a very vocational profession, right? There's two types of architect. There's like the conceptual architects who do the great sketching, and then there's like architectural technologists. Arguably, they're more important. Now, the star architects won't agree with that because they're designing the building, right? But that squiggle on a bit of paper has to be turned into drawings that stand up from an engineering point of view, right? So I think there's a lot of underemphasis, particularly in the architecture industry, on technical competence. And there's a lot more overemphasis on call it the art creative side of it. All right. Now, if you're Zaha Hadid, that makes sense, right? But, someone's still got to take Zaha Hadid's sketches and turn them into buildable sections, right? So that's a key competence thing, right? Zaha Hadid's competence is beautiful building concepts, but below her has to sit a highly competent team of people who can take those concepts and turn them into engineering drawings.
Well, also, so we've covered engineering, architecture, and there's a lot of other parts, but construction management. So how important, I basically construction management, I believe, is uberly important because a lot of the people coming into the field, it's going to be weird to say, but they're not the typical contractor kind of, mindsets that like, oh, in high school, or they were doing 4-H, or they were doing this, they were building. A lot of them now is like, construction has become sexy, right? And you can make a lot of money being a young project manager or, PE coming out construction management. But problem is they don't know what they don't know. So it's like, once again, practicality, like you said, with engineering architecture, how are we going to, one, do that? And then two, why aren't there more, sort of like hybrid systems or interdisciplinary, there are a few in the country, but more of construction, engineering, architecture programs that are together.
Yeah, I agree. So this is the project management conceit, right? The PMP, the premise of the PMP is as long as you follow this process, you don't need you can manage a telecom team, a software team, or a construction team, right? And then the opposite of that is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. I'm a chartered project management surveyor, right? And I am expected to have knowledge on how buildings are constructed and put together and run, and the contractual side of it, so I can effectively lead it, right? So the idea is, from the RICS, is you can't effectively lead a property development if you don't understand property development, right?
But that takes time, and it takes this gray hair, you know, like the salt and pepper, because it's not like cute brown beard. Yeah. How long does it? I mean, I'm not going to say that there are time on it, but I see a lot of folks in the industry now, like they're like, oh, I'm 26 and I'm a superintendent. I'm like, what?
No, 10 years.
I'm starting to see that there's a lot of people going out and a lot of ones coming in, and they're promoting so quickly. Project directors, project executors. I mean, that are 32 years old, and I'm not doing anything with age here, but that's fast.
Look, this is a problem of skill shortages, right? So I personally believe if you got the word senior on your business card, you got to be 10 years post-grad, 8 to 10 years post-grad.
At least. Right? At least. Maybe even 10 to 15, at least. Yeah. And everyone's like, I can get there quicker. I'm smarter. It's just the experience where, okay, so onto this, and we're almost done with this one, but the thing about it is, it's like, how do we get them more experience? I know how. Put them in the field. Every engineer, every architect, every construction manager, put them in the field and let them see it. Because I say this, you only know how good jasmine smells because you know how bad it smells. So it starts with an S, smells. So let them see bad work to understand what good work really is. I wish that happened day one. Yeah.
I've just thought of another great question about project management. We shall come on to it. So let's wrap this up. Just at the meta level, when you see a lot of blame games, there's an incompetence in leadership and ability going on there. Pure and simple. So if you are the executive or the owner, the intervention is replace the leader normally. It's normally a leader problem, right? And then if not, if it's not the leader, and you can clearly see it's not the leader, it's normally a lack of technical competence somewhere that has snowballed into a bigger problem.
And to end this, basically, for anybody who's watching it, basically, that might be getting in the industry, if you see it, say it, because basically your voice, your eyes matter. You are so important, even if you might be new to the team. Yeah. See it, say it. It should be better.
Yeah. Absolutely. So blame game, people who play the blame game are weak. Blame equals weakness. Know that.